Okay, cool. So we're live. I'm gonna wait a little bit just to allow people to sort of come in and start viewing. But this is the first sort of community outsourced, community run live stream for the SuperRare Spotlight. So I'm SamJ Studios, and I'm gonna be sort of questioning and interviewing Blacksneakers here about her work and how she got started as an artist and where she incorporates like crypto art and super rare into the work she creates. So also at the end, we will be doing a bit of a Q&A. So if you're watching on YouTube or I'm not exactly sure how the live streams on Twitter work, but if you can ask questions there, we'll try to answer them in the second half of the stream. So if you want to talk a little bit about how you got started in art and what necessarily influences you to make pieces and a little bit about like your background, I guess.
Okay. Well, as you know, my name is Blacksneakers. My real name is Jasmine, but I like Black Sneakers. Like the story of how I got my name is kind of funny because I was just out one day wearing white Vans, and then I thought, oh, Black Sneakers, it'd be a cool art name. 'Cause at the time, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my name. 'Cause I wanted to start my brand, like what 2, 3 years ago. So, and Black Sneakers was born. So it was pretty cool. It kind of ironic kind of thing, but art wise, I've been at it for a few years, probably a little bit longer, but like, business wise, and I think sort of professionally, or decided to really pursue art as a career, I think junior year of high school. So about 2017, 2018. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do art. Because beforehand, I went through this whole writing phase. So, like, I made a whole Wattpad. I was a writer for like short stories. I was planning out to make a whole novel series. That kind of didn't happen. So I thought, okay, I might as well just do art instead. Because I've always knew I wanted to do art, just knew art wise. I just didn't know what it was. And so, because I could paint, I was painting, I was drawing, but I always wanted to get into digital art. And I would watch some of my favorite YouTubers, like Starless Art, and then there's another one, but I can't remember their name. But I would mainly watch Starless Art on YouTube and think I want to do that too because what they were doing was so cool. And other digital artists too, I fell in love with. And so I just kept practicing. I used Sketchbook first because it was free, and then I made my way to using Photoshop, and that's what I've been using before I moved to Procreate. But really, like my style digitally has evolved since then, and it's just I just love it so much. I do. I also paint too, still, but it's just digital art. It's just so special to me now, and so and luckily it's evolved to where I can make my brand based off of it now too. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really incredible how much accessibility there is in the art world now, especially with crypto art and NFT art. It makes it even not only easier to create, but also to sell. With that being said, I'm curious like how you got into like marketing your art as a business and how
Mm.
you went from just like wanting to be an artist into, like, oh, this is something I can sell and, I have a a small business here now.
Um, well, I first thought about that back when I went to SCAD. I went there 1 year, so I didn't really do
Hmm.
much, but it was still a nice, experience. I still built some, got some experience from like school. But I really started my website so back in like 2019, and I didn't have anything to sell. It was just there, to showcase my art. And wasn't until this summer, I really believe this summer during the Black Lives Matter protests, and then during the whole George Floyd thing, where I really started getting to starting my business. At the time, I created a piece for that situation, and I thought I could use it for fundraising. So, and it went pretty well. And then I decided to take my business seriously. So I started really selling prints then as well, and it just kind of just went off from there. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just after fundraising and then realized that I could actually make a profit off my artwork, not just, in a way to help other people, but to really boost my career as well. I thought, oh, why not? So, and now it's doing so great. And I'm really thankful that I can sell my work like this to people who really support me like that. I have gratitude towards them, like like immense gratitude. Like I can't explain it. it's life changing. So I'm just glad I can get to be at this point right now in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a really incredible start, especially for like such an important movement and a cause. And in a way, I'm like really not surprised seeing, how your work celebrates Black culture and really sort of like romanticizes the community that
Mhm.
you are a part of. And I was wondering like how you find inspiration for your pieces and incorporate that into your art. Or also how you
I
started doing that, I guess, as well.
Yeah. I just It's just based kind of off of experiences, whether my own or another person I talk to. It's basically all about experiences because my work does evolve, like the Black community. So it's all about Black narratives, whether it's emotional narratives or mental narratives, which I kind of think they coincide anyway. But it's just based on how I've dealt with my experiences throughout the years and then others, or what I've been told from other people or other stories and articles and stuff. So it's just, yeah, it's just our narratives.
Mhm.
So
I'm gonna
yeah.
pull it up real quick so people can see what we're talking about. So here is I think your first piece on SuperRare. How
Mhm.
did you find SuperRare from, because you mentioned selling prints before, and SuperRare is a bit different, especially with like crypto art and all of that. And I'm wondering how you got involved from that or with that, and if it's influenced your art in any way.
Oh, what was funny? Because I heard about it before because I think I was following a few crypto artists by then too, but I'm not sure. And then I got an email from SuperRare asking me to join the website. So that was pretty cool. 'Cause I didn't really know what crypto art was at the time or what an NFT was. But I'm like, oh, that seems pretty chill. Why not? So, and I mean, I know more about it now a little bit, but it's just at the time I was not really sure what it was, but it seemed like a really cool platform to be on. And so, yeah, this is my first piece ever on SuperRare, and this is like one of my most favorite pieces ever. This one just hits home. I love this one so much. Yeah.
Yeah, it really captures this sort of like nostalgic feeling. I don't know, there are kind of memes about, summer nights after hanging out at the pool when you're,
Yeah.
in middle school or something like that. And it really evokes this memory that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Do you necessarily try to make your work relatable, or is it just something that you make in reference to your own experiences and it kind of happens by accident?
I think both, because some of it is relatable. Like for this one, it definitely is relatable because right now during COVID and people in quarantine, we can't be together. And like during the summer, you have to be with your friends to hang out and stuff. But you really can't do that because what's going on. So this one, I personally want to be with my friends, and I think because people like it so much because they felt the same way. In regards to my other work, it kind of goes both ways, where it's based on my personal experiences, and then where it can also be relatable. So it just depends on what you can relate with or not. So yeah.
And do you exclusively work in with digital painting and physical painting, or do you wish to like branch out into different types of art, different mediums, or different experiences?
I mainly do work with digital art, and I do mainly paintings as well, especially portraits. But I kind of dabbled in tapestry last
Yeah.
a little bit last winter. I haven't done anything since then, but it was interesting. It was hard work, and I like understand like how that experience is now for other tapestry artists, but it's pretty interesting. And the whole wave of rugs that happened this year too, I was like, how do
Yeah.
y'all do that? So I want to do that too one day, hopefully soon before school starts
Yeah,
back up. But I don't know.
that definitely has caught my eye as well. Especially like a lot of them are taking organic shapes and non-traditional shapes of like, I don't know, most
Right.
rugs you expect to be rectangle. But and I think that would work well with your style.
Thank you.
Um, did you have to take a lot of sort of interdisciplinary courses at your first year at school, or was it mostly just I don't know, like maybe art history and painting?
Um, it was basically just foundation classes. So like first year of art school, you gotta get the basics first. So drawing, like drawing 101, then color theory, design 1 and 2, and art history of course too, because those are all basic classes. And I didn't know at the time I wanted to be an illustrator. That's what I want to be now. Like plain kind of am right now. But also, you just had to get through those classes first before you move on to your main courses. So even though I wasn't able to, because I only went there for a year, you just have to go through those classes first before you really build up to the level you want to be at. So yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of how my school was structured as well. So I
Mhm.
studied graphic design, but they make everybody in the art school, no matter what your major is or what you plan on studying, like take, intro drawing courses and like the art histories. And so you kind of get a little bit of just general, like I like to call it visual literacy. So you
Yeah,
understand like why things look the way they do.
exactly.
Um, and with that being said, do you think that like, do you like having that sort of structure in your pieces, or do you much prefer being like, oh, I just want to make what I feel, and like, I don't think, do you plan it out, or do you really just go with what your gut says? And especially with digital art.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just go with the flow basically because I never really liked structure when it came to like doing art and learning art. I've always been kind of like, really independent in that sense. Like even back in middle school when I had that one art class, I didn't really like what we were doing. She got mad at me. My teacher got mad at me because I was always doing my own thing, but that's just how I learned. And eventually that kind of like subsided once, I really got into art school and then art classes at my current university. But I just whether with school assignments or my own personal work, it's just all with the flow basically. Of course, like I follow a little bit of structure because of assignments, but personally, it's just whatever I feel at the moment. Yeah.
And do you often find like inspiration in other artworks that you then pull into your mood, or like if you get stuck, you look at specific inspirations when you're making things, or is it really just all within your own head or your own little like creative space?
I definitely look at other people's artwork to get inspiration because I try as I might. Sometimes I do have like that kind of blockage to finish a piece. So I have this whole Pinterest board of digital art, paintings, color schemes just to help me get by. And it helps a lot. So all those artists on my Pinterest board, thank you so much. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you mostly like reference modern artists that are also like working right now within digital art, or do you look back at art history and look at how people influence their own period and influence their own era? Especially with now, like people are referencing crypto art as this big movement. Do you try to compare yourself to other artists that also took part in big movements?
Yeah, it's mainly more an artist day that I look at compared to you know, older artwork and everything. Because a lot of it is based during this time. Like I know, for instance, for my paintings, I look at Nadine Pierre, who's an amazing painter. I love her work. So I kind of like reference from her a little bit. And there's other artists too. My mind's kind of blank right now. I can't think of their names, but there's a few modern artists right now that I do look at for inspiration.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you to see like inspiration happening in real time? Do you
Hmm.
sometimes look at other people's art or your peers' art and see how your work has maybe subtly influenced other people, or do you think that is like an issue that you face because of how accessible everybody's art is for like looking for viewing, I guess?
I do like in terms of looking at other people's artwork. Like I see it, but I try not to compare mine to theirs or to directly reference it because I feel like personally I wouldn't want mine to be a direct copy, or I don't know how to phrase this. It's just like I see it and I appreciate it, and maybe like the color schemes I see are can help me out through my own stuff. But I just see other people's artwork, especially crypto artists I follow, and just good job for them. But I'm gonna do my own thing and not try to copy yours or compare mine. Because as artists, we're individuals, like we have our own thing going on, and to compare each other's work would be kind of pointless because we're all different. We put our own situations, emotions, and standards into our own artwork, and to compare it, it makes no sense to me. So
Yeah, definitely. Like there's so much in each piece that
mm,
it does it like yeah, they're so far from each other. It's hard to
exactly,
compare.
yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up another piece of yours if um, you would like to maybe talk a little bit about that as well.
Okay.
Um, let's see if this works out. Yes. Okay, cool. So this is another piece just so people can kind of see how your style is adapted to different themes and see how your style works within different pieces. So if you want to talk about maybe a little bit more about how your style developed and how it influences your process when making different pieces.
For this one in particular, over and over again, I think it was in a moment during this summer or partially in the fall. I think it was mainly in the summer, where it's just I felt like we were in this rotation where it never really ended. Like we would wake up, stay home, sleep, eat, do some work if we have jobs, and then go and do it
Yeah.
all over again. We didn't really do anything else, and like, it became so mundane at some point. It just felt like a it will never end. So that piece is heavily inspired by that, and it's just style wise, I wanted to incorporate how one single figure in that whole piece be going through this whole situation, but then wanting to also escape it, because being in a situation like that where you really can't do anything else or you're limited, it just seems really depressing, or it compresses your wants and needs. So that's what I wanted to do for this one.
I think it's really interesting from a thematic standpoint because it's basically the opposite of the piece we talked about previously, where it's like much more based around community and like
Mm,
experiencing things with your friends. And now this is much more of like a sort of intrusive thoughts or internal thoughts um, moment, I guess. But it still has this vibrancy to it, and you can definitely tell that it's like by you, and you have such a great aesthetic that you've developed.
thank
Can
you.
I ask maybe how long it took you to find this style and like where, if you tried out different styles along the way, like maybe what the issues you faced with finding your current aesthetic was?
Yeah, because before I got this style, I would usually do faces, but it would be like portraits only because I didn't really know how to do full body yet. And the color schemes were a little bit dimmer. They had more of a toned down look to them instead of this really tinted and saturated look right now. But and because I took a break starting my first semester at my new school, and so I kind of forgot how to do art digitally until I just went at it, and I came to this point. I didn't know how to do faces anymore, so I just didn't do faces. And I thought, oh, let's just put some colors, because I think personally I become more comfortable with how I see the world in terms of like I see things a little bit more vibrant, I feel, or a little bit more optimistic, or the rose colored glasses, if you will. So I just wanted to incorporate that into my work, whether it would be positive themes or melochromatic themes. So for this one, especially, even though it has that bright color scheme, it still has that tone of thoughts, loneliness. What am I going to do with my life right now at this point? That kind of thing. So yeah.
And do you have any plans for making art in the future? Like,
Oh,
are you going to
definitely.
just keep painting and releasing prints and pieces on SuperRare, or what's your plan?
I think for now that's gonna be it. But I do hope to expand my career because I do want to teach. That's the thing. I want to be a art teacher, preferably for college students because high school students are ruthless. So, like, I just remember my art teacher. She was cool, or my art teachers from my schools, like my current university and then at SCAD, they were all such cool people. And I didn't take art in high school, so I don't know how she was, but I heard she was cool too. But in middle school, no. So no one really liked her. I didn't really like her. But I just, something about teaching just seems so cool to do because I'm inspired by my current professors and they're such open-minded people and they teach you a lot of stuff. They want to make sure you're individual with your own artwork while learning these current basic steps to creating a good portfolio or just good piece in general. But I just want to be able to like help other people, express their creativity, whether they be, in a small position or a big one. I eventually want to do teach college students. Yeah.
Do you find that you have a little bit of that impact now, even just as somebody sharing their artwork on social media?
Oh, I really don't know because like when people ask me questions, I just answer them. I don't really like try to give like a lesson, but I do want to be helpful. So like my like how the art community can be a little bit of a gatekeeping kind of thing, where like some materials you use people won't tell you. I'm gonna just tell you.
Mhm.
Be like,
Yeah.
oh, what program do you use? I use Procreate, Photoshop, what brushes? I use this one and that one. Like I just
Mhm.
why am I gonna block you from being creative when I could just share it with you, Because even though it's also competitive, it's also a community as well in some situations. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of people who ask you for help, or is it just like maybe you share one piece and then somebody new sees it and they ask?
It's a little bit of both. Not many people ask me about tools I use, which is totally okay. But it's kind of like the second one as well. They just see it and then do whatever they want with it. But yeah. Mhm.
Something that I feel like is absent from sharing your work on social media that I'm sure like you've noticed as well, because we've
Mhm.
both kind of made art in an academic setting, is
Yeah.
that it's hard to critique things in on the internet without it
Yeah.
being really obnoxious. And that's something that I've experienced like in a classroom with a bunch of other students. And
Hmm.
I think it's really interesting to see how the culture is different because I was sort of forced to get up and speak about my art. And I find like a lot of artists are maybe not used to that on social media or they're not used
Yeah.
to unwanted feedback. So I'm curious, like, how do you deal with maybe unwanted feedback or critiques that come off a bit harsh?
Well, because like as you said, we had to kind of learn how to critique artwork in art school or to these classes. So, and I think sometimes these critiques are useful. Some of them are not, unwanted, but I still consider them because maybe they have a point. It's from their perspective, so I really can't deny it. But honestly, I just if I resonate with it, then I do. If I don't, then I don't. Because at the end of the day, it's a critique, and you can apply it to your work if you want to. So, and like the difference between like critique in a professional setting then online is going to be different because we have like an actual background of doing this stuff, whereas other people may not. And it's the internet too. People got opinions. What can you do?
Yeah.
It's the internet. I can't stop them from saying anything about my work, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I put out there for them to see, and sometimes they may not like the critique or the opinion. What can I do besides maybe say something and then move on? So, or maybe block them. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah,
so
sharing your work on the internet is can sometimes be really, really vulnerable. I always get, like,
yeah,
nervous when I'm like, "Oh, I'm about to finish this, like, what if people don't like it? What
exactly.
if it doesn't do as well as the piece I posted last time?"
Yeah.
Do these, do you maybe, like, get caught up in the numbers or, worried about what people will think, or are you just kinda like, "Oh, whatever, I'm gonna post it, not look, and then maybe check tomorrow?"
It kind of again a little bit of both because I had a piece the other day went a little viral and that was cool, but it was honestly not my favorite piece I've done, and it went viral. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then yesterday was the whole was it yesterday? The whole Black people superpower thing, and
Oh,
I tried to
yeah,
make a
yeah, yeah.
piece based on that. It didn't do as well. And then, but my friends were telling me it's okay. Your art was good anyway. How you feel about it's more important than a few likes and retweets and comments. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. Because like I'll post it, and if it does well, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I really can't really base my artwork on how many views it gets. So yeah.
And do you try to have a specific like upload pattern, or like, oh, there's a lot of talk about scarcity and abundance. Do you put much thought into that, or are you just like, this is my Twitter, I'm gonna tweet what I want when I want?
I think for like my big pieces, I have a certain time schedule I post them. So like if it's on like a Monday, it'll be either in the afternoon or when people get off work or on the weekends late at night. For some reason, it gets more attention during that time. But if it's like for small stuff, it's whatever. Or it just depends on the kind of piece it is, really. If I want more attention on it, I'll post it at a certain time. If not, I'll just post it whenever, then just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, it's all social media, so I think the same kind of thing. Like whoever sees it, and if they follow
Exactly.
me and they like my art, they'll see it at some point.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think now would be a good time to wrap up. And we were just talking about social media. So if you want to maybe plug your social medias or your super rare profile, if you have any future projects to promote, go ahead and you can talk about that a little bit now.
Okay. For future projects, I am going to be another painting. I'm not sure if it would be as big as the one I just finished. And I do have other digital art I want to post on SuperRare soon as well. Don't know when, hopefully soon. Have to finish them first. But I also plan on making a comic as well. And that's something exciting. I don't know. I always want to make comics, so I'm going to try it now. I'm a little nervous. Like I started doing it, it didn't turn out so good, so I'm editing again. But I'm gonna post more artwork, of course, on Twitter, Instagram, and my Twitter is Blacksneakers with two K's in black, all capitalized. And then yeah, you should follow me there. It's great. It's fun. I talk a lot of nonsense on Twitter, but it's fun.
Yeah, your Twitter definitely has. I love following you on Twitter because I'm always surprised scrolling through to see your art, and it's like so recognizable, especially like I don't know, the like my Twitter is dark themed, and so I'll be scrolling down and just see like a massive pop of color. It's always a nice surprise.
And that's me.
Yeah. So for your comic, is that something that you'll be producing as maybe like a crypto thing, or is it something that you want to print in real life, or maybe a little bit of both?
Good question. I was considering just posting it on Twitter or on another platform, to be honest. But now they mention it, that'd be a pretty cool thing to do because I know there are other artists who do it that as well. So maybe. Thank you for giving me the idea now. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
that I think that's a great thing about crypto art is having an additional avenue to market yourself as a creative person. And
exactly.
it always, yeah, I have to think twice about like, okay, well, how am I going to release this, or how is this best shared with the public?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time and explaining a little bit about yourself and your background and your pieces. I will be sure to continue to follow you and check out your art, and I hope everyone else does the same. Thanks for tuning in, and we got some amazing comments about your art and well, sorry, there was a bug flying around. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you more on our timelines later.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Of course.